to live?
Yes, live.
Live.
Welcome to the Ref Room.
Hockey talk for parents, players, coaches, and fans.
Text everyone you know. Facebook, chat, tweet, buzz, bling. I don't know. Just do what you have to do.
This is the Ref Room with Scott and Brad.
Come on, come on, come on. It's about to go down.
The Ref Room starts right now.
Yes, it does. Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday. This is the Ref Room. I am Scott Smokin, Silz, joined by my peanut butter and jelly eating friend, Brad Baumruck, having lunch in the Ref Room with us again, as usual. And
my producer's throwing hats at me now.
Yeah, well, you started with the winter hat, but, I say winter starts March 1st in Chicago. I don't know if somehow it's all screwed up. We've had 3 days of great weather, so I've been digging it. The dog's been digging it.
I've been at the rink so much, I don't have time to cut my hair.
Yeah, of course.
We got to hide it somehow today.
Yeah, there you go. He's got the big boy cap on. Is that like a little kid's hat you put on and like stretch the band out or what? It looks like half the size of your head.
It's my kid's hat.
Okay, all right. That explains everything. Well,
my wife threw hockey mom at me.
Oh, very nice. Well, we got lots of stuff to talk about today because, Brad and I have these conversations during the course of the week. We have like text messages going back and forth, and then we get on the phone. Well, we had a super heated discussion the other day about Slew Footing. So we're going to have a conversation about that and share that with you guys today. But there's a couple other things we wanted to talk about. So first, let's start seminars because there's a few seminars up on USA Hockey right now. And if you guys are thinking about becoming a referee, and we need refs, make no mistake about it, we need referees, especially good ones. But you could be out of being a level one in what, 3 months? You'd end up working like spring league, like 2 months total, and basically you'd be a level 2 next year when you came back. So you would see a lot more games, and it would be, behoove you to do this. Trust me, you don't have to be a level one for a long time. It is. It really is. So tell them about the seminars. Do you know the dates off the top of your head?
There's 3 seminars right now currently on USA Hockey. There's one on 3/15, which is coming up in 5 days from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., new level ones. Then there's going to be another one that starts 3/15 and goes to 3/16. They have a 2-day seminar, and they're from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m., which is 6 hours. And then they're going to have a returning one for level 1s and 2s. And it's on 3/15 as well. It's 7 to 10 p.m. They're doing it all at once. So let's get it done.
The good side of things is you could be out of level 1 very quickly. The downside of things is you have a very short period of time to complete all the work that you need to do, which means you're going to have to take your open book test. You need to get screened. You need to do your modules. And what's the deadline for that? The 24th at 11:59 Mountain Time to complete
that is the deadline, but don't forget you have to do your safe sport course as well.
Oh, and your safe sport too. That's right.
The first time I think is like 2 hours.
Yeah, so there's definitely some work that has to be done. But, again, you could get out of level 1 pretty quickly. We've already got some comments coming in. And Karen, by the way, thank you, Karen. Last week, Karen contributed. She bought us coffee, so we really appreciate that. If you don't know about Buy a Coffee, we'll explain it to you in a little while. But thank you for that. And she said, which clinics do you have to skate for? USA Hockey, I'm guessing you wouldn't have to skate any, would you? Or are you going to put something together for IHOA for the level 1s to skate again?
This season, USA Hockey gave the option to all the organizations. Skating's not required. It's normally a requirement for certain levels, but they gave the option because, some states were still closed and still might be.
Yeah.
To get the seminars in, we could do them virtually, and you don't have to take your test in person. They put up the closed book test online, and also you don't have to skate for seminars. Here in Illinois, we made it optional for level 1s, and we had pretty good turnout, to be honest with you.
One of my friends signed up and did your level 1. So Oliver, if you're watching today, welcome to the club. Just finish up your modules and all your good stuff, and you'll be ready to go. All right, let's talk about. We were just talking about the Buy Me a Coffee. So in case you guys don't know what the Buy Me a Coffee is, we might as well cover it. So first, let's thank everybody that's bought us coffee. So last week, Karen bought us coffee. John Dunn, Ahai bought us coffee. Heather bought us coffee. Scott Gaffney bought us coffee. And if you don't know what Buy Me, who did I leave out? Brett bought the week before. So I thought I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
But Brett,
You're right.
No, but thank you guys for that. It helps support the channel, basically. Brad and I have been sponsoring the channel for a year now. We need to recoup some expenses. So, we appreciate the Buy Me a Coffee. And if you don't know what it is, here's the link to it. You can go here. And if you like the show, you can buy us a cup of coffee. Also, if you go to YouTube, where we have all the videos are up there from all the shows, we have some gear that we really like. Recommendations for some of the gear, whether it be whistles, electronic whistles, socks to put on for hockey, shin tights, all kinds of good stuff. The better stuff that we all kind of use and like, you'll find it up there. Yeah, we do get a very tiny commission, about 50 cents on a whistle, I think it is, if you buy a whistle through the link, but we appreciate it, okay? So we had to cover that as well.
Scott, since we're on that, in case people watch from big corporations, Sparks, we need a link because I want to buy one.
Yeah, but Sparks, I've reached out to them. They will not give us a link. Well, first of all, you can't do that. You can't buy off your own link, just so you know. You get in trouble if you do that. So I have to let you know that. But yeah, I reached out to Sparks because I know a couple people that want to buy that machine, but they didn't want to do it. So, oh well, your loss. Our loss too, obviously, but maybe you guys won't buy that machine. I like the machine. I will tell you, I like the machine a lot. There's another company out there that makes one very similar to Sparks. I'm going to look into that. I know they have them in one of the pro shops, but I really like the sharpening you get. I mean, I went into Fifth Third, and it was men's league. Actually, it wasn't. One of the girls that works late night there, that I don't even think she skates, did my skates for me. It was like the best sharpening I've ever had. Had them done at a half. Oh my gosh! Like they've stayed sharp for a couple weeks. They're really great. So I'm really happy with that. So I will tell you that. And, I like the call whistle. If you guys haven't worked with the Fox 40 call whistle, I really like them. Especially if you're wearing a gaiter in some of these places, you can put it up to your mouth. You don't need an electronic whistle. They're great. They're nice and loud. People can hear them in the building. Your partners can hear them in the building because a lot of times you can't hear all the whistles. Even with the Thunderer, you got to blow hard. Otherwise, somebody's not going to hear that whistle. So just a couple things we'd mention. So one of the other things we wanted to talk about today as we move forward here is electronic score sheets. I don't know if you guys have started to see a lot of people with iPads at the rink. I've seen more and more of them, and we kind of ran into a situation the other day. See, that's why I said it'd be much easier to do this show after we open up and get to do all these games. But we were at one of the new rinks, one of the brand new rinks, the brand new rink. I'll just leave it at that. Everybody can probably figure that one out. But they had an electronic score sheet. So they put you into the system. So when you go over at the start of the game, you just identify who you are, and you're already in the system probably if you've done a game with the score sheet. If not, they put you in the system so they know who's on the game. But at the end of the game, here's the problem. So it's nice. I guess we really don't have to go over other than to say hello to the coaches because the phone numbers and the coaches' names are already in the electronic score sheet, the iPad, whatever you want to call it. But here's the problem. They use codes for putting in penalties. And at the end of the game, when you go back over there to look at the score sheet, last week I found a total debacle. They had given a match penalty to somebody and two major with games. We had 2 and 10s. And this is what was in there. There was a trip for a match penalty or something like that. How did that happen? Oh, well, we put the code in. Well, we're going to have to really look at these pretty carefully. I don't know if IHOA or AHI have anything, some basic rules and regulations for using these, but I kind of missed the manual score sheet, the actual score sheet, or the physical score sheet where you can actually see what's going on. So, we went in and had to fix all this stuff, but there's codes on the sheet. It's very bizarre.
Scott, it just goes to show you got to check a score sheet.
Yeah, you really do.
The times that I've had electronic score sheets, and it's only been a handful throughout last year, I'm going to tell you this. Think of this. If they go out there and they have their little iPad and they're walking across the ice at the conclusion of the game, and,
I know what's
let's not even
coming.
say the conclusion.
Yeah.
They drop and break that iPad. It does not automatically back up.
So there's no auto save feature on that it doesn't go to the cloud or anything like that where they could recapture it?
Last year, I was informed because I asked. They do not have a cloud system. It could have changed this year because we're still talking 2019 to without a year in 20 basically.
Yeah, that's true.
And then a season that's now in 21. It did not back up. Here's my biggest suggestion to all officials involved with these electronic score sheets. If the iPad dies, it could be gone. If the iPad dies, what are the odds that person's going to have the charger there?
Yeah.
You can't complete that game until that score sheet's signed. So what I've done with every scorekeeper that I've had, you can use your electronic score sheet. Guess what? Go get a paper one. We're still going to have a paper score sheet of this game because you know what? No offense. USA Hockey doesn't cover electronic score sheets at all in their rule books. If you're working in a special league that uses them, the league will prep you for all that on what you're supposed to do. But if you have a paper score sheet, unless somebody comes by and rips it up, that's detrimental to the game at that point.
Right. So
you got a match penalty, but nothing can happen to that paper other than, maybe they spilled some coffee on it. But the writing's still there. Yeah. I would always make sure you have a paper one and the electronic one. Make sure, too, on a couple of those electronic ones, at the beginning of the game, I ran into it the first time I had it, the coaches have to approve their rosters. And if they don't, because that's how they keep track of the roster that's playing out there, if they don't approve it, they can't start the game in the scorekeeper box. It's very new technology, and they're working with it, and I get it. We have to work with them. And I think,
are the coaches getting that iPad before the game in order to go through the roster or not?
I don't know. It's all, again, if it was covered in USA Hockey, I'd be able to tell you, or anywhere else that I've worked. But I've seen it, and I think they're fairly good. They're accurate, at least. Let's put it that way. Plus, when they put you in that system, once you're done, you get a copy of that score sheet. It emails it to you. I don't know.
I haven't seen one come through yet, and I'm in there with the email.
So what they were using 2 years ago or whatever. Oh, no. Excuse me. There's an option on there that you can email the score sheet to yourself. That's what it is. Because I had
I'm gonna have to look for that
5-minute game. Yeah, it's at the end when you conclude the game.
Well, let me just say this. To be real honest with you, I really don't like touching somebody else's iPad.
I'm with you.
I know that sounds kind of crazy and, are you a germaphobe? No, I'm not. But, some of them, they're disgusting. They've been touched by all kinds of people. They're all, I mean, bad enough you got to touch the pen sometimes from some of the scorekeepers, all right? I mean, that's why I keep a pen in my pocket, with my riot
what if
pad.
you drop it and break it?
That's very possible. You could have a player not paying attention and bump into you while you're over there by the bench or whatever. Very possible.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. And it definitely could happen. So I don't know. Maybe they really need to start addressing this, because I think the idea of having an iPad for a score sheet is awesome. And, you could load in, the 10 different forms for every different league or whatever, and it would be great. But, let's see. We got some comments here. Brett. Hey, what's up, Brett? How are you, buddy? I have still been taking the iPad to the benches to confirm the rosters. Scott makes a good point, though. We are handling someone else's iPad. Yeah, it really is, disgusting. Especially since, we are in a pandemic situation here. So, you really don't want to be touching everything. That's how everything spreads, and we're trying to avoid that. So that's another point that I guess could be made, and I'm sure some of you have already thought about that.
I got a good idea, Scott.
Yeah.
What if anybody has any concerns about electronic score sheets? Throw them in the comments.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff that I haven't probably thought of, or you, because we haven't had them enough.
We just had a discussion about it because I'm like,
crazy stuff.
This is, like, I don't even know how to go in and get these codes for the penalties they're putting in. I don't know where they're coming up with this stuff. So it's kind of interesting. You've got parents that aren't like really proficient in this. They seem to be, but they're really not, obviously. And maybe they don't understand the penalties that you're calling. I mean, you're calling a tripping penalty, and you got a kid that's got a match penalty from a trip. Like, seriously? Here, we got another comment. Sounds like the problems that come with the iPad score sheet outweigh the positives. Well, Alex, you probably are right at this point in time. I think there's got to be a better way for us to be able to visualize it. Maybe they need to have a TV monitor in the penalty box that we can see that shows the score sheet. That's a possibility. No?
They tried that. It was mounted in the rinks. I forget who did it. Point Streak had it for a while.
Sure.
And I don't know why that went to wayside. Maybe just because Point Streak kind of switched over to computers.
I don't know.
They had
I know Point Streak from playing at Johnny's, checking your points on there and your schedules and everything. It's a really nice system. I don't know if there's a competitor to that. And I don't know, are these the score sheets? I don't think they're coming from Point Streak, are they? Or is this like an app that has all the different score sheets in there and you select the score sheet that your league uses and you're good to go? Because, I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me to have it. But, again, having either a cloud backup for this thing or a way for the referees to actually see this thing and see the penalties. So I think we still do need that paper score sheet. It's extra work for everybody, but it makes a lot of sense. So I just wanted to bring that up because, honestly, if it happened to me, it's probably happening to other people, and you may not even be aware of it. You may be just going over there and trusting that the codes are all correct, and you're good to go because it's, all been done electronically. But, sometimes the iPaper is the better way to go.
Correct. That brings to a point that our local is struggling with right now. As a veteran official, checking the score sheet is very important.
Yeah.
I know that we had supervised practices for a while, and people weren't using score sheets. Now score sheets matter. The games are sanctioned. Let's make sure that we're checking them because there's been some issues already in the state, and they shouldn't be happening. So everybody check your score sheets, get on top of it.
Yeah.
I get that we're in a year lag, but just make sure they're done because it makes it a nightmare for anybody that has to go look up a record of that game. Then they have to call you. Then, 4 or 5 of their hours are wasted when they don't get those hours back. And if the score sheet was correct, it wouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So score sheets are crucial.
And a couple things on the score sheets, guys. When you go in there, don't let the scorekeepers check off were there any major penalties or not. You need to do that yourself and cross off the suspension box. If nobody served a suspension during that game, at the end of the game, go in there and cross that box off so nobody can write a player into that area after the fact.
Correct.
Okay, that's really important.
Count your players before the game. There was a situation during playoffs in 2019, and the officials went out on the ice, and a team came over, and that box had not been crossed out. Scott, since you're bringing it up. Yep. And all of a sudden there was a player in it, and the referees went to the tournament director because the tournament director's like, well, did this guy play or did he not? We're not really sure. Well, did you count the player? I happen to be there. I'm like, did you count the players on the ice? No. I go, well, it would have solved that problem. Yeah. Make sure to count them beforehand. Count them by fours. 4, 8, 12,
Yeah, it's
16.
tough to count moving objects. I can count them 4 times and come up with 4 different numbers. I'll be honest with you. And until they're standing still, it's a little challenging. At least it is for me. I'm sure it is for others too, because we've sat there and gone, I got 18. Oh, I got 19. We'll count them again. Now we got 20. We got 16.
There's a trick where if, in a 4 official especially, it gets real easy.
Yeah.
When they're coming on the ice, they all come through one door. You can count them as they come on.
Yeah, you could.
So there's they don't have to make it more complicated because we're generally out there unless the rink is running early or they go out.
But sometimes you got players that come out later. That's really what happens.
I know.
You don't have everybody coming out at the same time. Try that at a men's league game sometimes.
Men's league is its own thing.
I know. That. I get it. Now we got a couple more comments, so let's go back. Brett's got something to say. My biggest issue is we never get a copy of the sheet. The whole crew should get a copy by default when the game is locked. Yeah, that's a good point. I like that, and everybody should be emailed on there. I have never been emailed on there. I didn't know there was an option to even select that you could be emailed. I know there is, so that's one of the really good to know. Me. So it's something I'm going to definitely look for the next time I have one of those. Our referee in chief, Eric Kousel. It's Eric. Yes, you're blocked there. We have to have score sheets done right. Yes, that is absolutely correct. Very important, guys. It's a legal record. If you have to go to court for any reason or there's something that comes up, that is the document that everybody's going to have to look at and know. So it is a legal document, guys. That's all I can say. So take a look at it, check it, make sure it's right, check it twice, have your partner look at it.
And you won't be talking about it in 2 weeks after the game. It'll be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years. And I don't know about you. I mean, I remember.
I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. Okay, I tell you that all the time, but it's true.
I know, but just remember that's the thing. They're going to say, "Well, what was this?" And you're going to go, "I don't know."
Yeah.
I mean, you might remember the incident, but you probably aren't going to remember a minute detail that a lawyer is going to be looking at beforehand.
Exactly.
When they've looked at the video.
Karen says that's assuming the officials get out first. Well, Karen, the officials really do try to get out first. It's usually when they're doing multiple games at a tournament or something of that nature, and they're switching over. You're switching from a linesman to a referee, and you're changing jerseys or changing socks or whatever referees do between games, especially when they're working multiples. You may have to put some different gear on or whatever, and that's when they usually aren't out there first. But they really do try. If they're working one game, they're usually the first ones on the ice. At least I would hope they are. I mean, that's my experience. I think most of the guys are really good about that, except at multiple game situations. Yeah. We have a Facebook user. Now, Facebook users, just so you know, says the easy way is to ask the scorekeeper to take photos and send it to you. I've never had a problem.
Mr. Drews.
Yeah, that's Steve. Great. I agree with you, Steve. I like to take a photo of the score sheet, especially if I have a problem. If I have a game report, I want to take a photo. I actually have a scanner on my iPhone. It's an app.
The PDF scanner?
Yeah, and they're great because everything really comes out awesome, and you can email it. Now you can send it to your partner. You can do whatever you need to do. And I highly recommend that you guys get a scanner app for your phone if you can. For you, Brad, you're still checking your fax machine, I know, but
yes, I have an eFax now. Thank you very much.
There you go.
I don't even have to have an actual fax machine.
Right.
But no, you know what, Scott? To point that out, that PDF creator, I think that's what it's called, isn't it? Like the PDF creator scanner,
one I've got,
something like that. But when you take a picture of
Riddle, if I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna give me a second. I have to find it.
I think that's the one I have too. But what's great about it is you take a photo of the score sheet, and if you put it on a dark background, the program automatically crops that document for you. So you're not like getting all this extra stuff. So when you zoom in, it gets more blurry. It's really quite an interesting program, and you can also upload things.
Yeah,
it's a great. I like it, so I suggest it as well. I take a picture of the score sheet, and I take a physical one because I have fallen into the bad boy column of oops, I don't know what I did with it.
Yeah,
you have to contact the league.
If I have a score sheet, I have one spot in my bag I put it in, and I put it in my main compartment that I keep like my contact lenses and stuff, everything that goes in that one area so that I can find it and I know where it is. So that's something that is just kind of a habit for me, so I won't lose it. So the one I have is called Scanner Pro. It's an iPhone app called Scanner Pro. And no, we don't get a commission on that if you get one.
No. Somebody
but
just
yeah, it's an app for the iPhone. It works really well. and you can retake the photo if you need to. You can enhance it. You can do whatever you need to. It works out pretty well. So take a look at that one.
Well, in the comments, Mr. Spaith put in there that
going to
iPhone
it
Notes has a built-in part. I didn't know that.
Ability to scan a document to PDF. That makes sense. They probably do. They've pretty much come up with everything they can come up with on that phone. It's pretty awesome. Mr. Green says hello. Afternoon to you, Mr. Green. Thanks for checking in and joining us. All right. So, that's a little bit about the score sheets, the electronic score sheets. I thought that was important that we should cover that a little bit today before we move on. Now, the next thing we didn't put up on the thumbnail this week, if you were paying attention, but there was a post put up by a referee who is also a coach. Yep. And it got like over 100 comments, I believe, in like a day or two. There was quite a bit of
like 12 hours.
Quite a bit of conversation within a very short period of time. And I don't know, can we mention names on this at all? Like, can I mention who put it up? Who put the?
I wouldn't.
But basically, what he's saying is, parents are running referees out of the business
and coaches.
And coaches. And, I was up at Vernon a couple weeks ago, and there was a skills coach up there that's friends with Mr. Brown. That's Mike Brown. And he was saying the same thing. He said they're running some of the good coaches out. He won't even coach anymore. He does skill sessions for the guys, and that's what they do. They're getting chased out as much as the referees. And I will tell you, over the years, we've seen it. You have that one parent that just stands there for 40 minutes while you're coming out of the locker room waiting so he can make that comment to you or your partner, very quietly. But, he just had to get there and had to stay there like longer than his son or grandson was in the locker room, because sometimes we're not the first guys out of the locker room if we're having a conversation. But, they made it a point to stay there so they could make a comment. So it does happen, guys, and it's unfortunate. And, we need referees. So if you want to come referee, if you think you do a better job than the rest of us, we would welcome you, because we would love to have you out there. And I think you would see it differently. I mean, I'm the first one to tell you guys all the time, I was pretty tough on the men's league referees for many years. And I finally put my money where my mouth is and got on the bandwagon and joined you guys. But I always thought I knew the rules pretty well. You may disagree, but I thought I knew the rules pretty well. But, the bottom line, we need referees, guys. We need people.
Hey,
we need bodies. What? It's not easy. And if you think this job is easy, the first time I did this job, like 9 seasons ago, when you went out on the ice, I couldn't believe how much had to be done before the game. Like, how do you guys do all this in that 5-minute warm-up period or 3-minute warm-up period? I mean, check around the rink, go peg the nets and set them up, go over, introduce yourself to the coaches, get the score sheet taken care of. I mean, now it's second nature. It takes, a minute. It's no big deal. Get pucks. But when you're a brand new referee, you're a level 1 and you're going out to do your first 3, 4, 5 games, there's an overwhelming amount of stuff to do. And then you've got to watch offsides. You've got to watch icing. You've got to watch players. You're looking at a blue line when everybody else in the building is looking at something else, thinking, oh, he sees that plain as day. But, don't forget, you're covering a blue line at the same time. So you can't look in multiple places at the same time. We do a pretty good job of it, I think. But, it's not as easy as most people think it is. It's very easy to be the armchair quarterback, when you're at the rink or you're in the penalty box watching the game. It would be a lot easier to call the game from there, I think. You wouldn't have the angles that you have, but that we get. But, sometimes it would be easier to call the game from there than to be out there skating and turning and moving and staying out of way of play and avoiding players and watching the blue line and watching the center line to see if you've got an icing or whatever is going on. It's crazy out there. We all know it.
And time. 2 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, thanks for joining us this week, guys. We'll be back with more next week.
It's over. Hey, you know what's ironic about that? You brought up, if you think you could do it better, come on out to a seminar. Ironically, the person that put up the post was a coach and he came out because he was like, it'll be easy. He said he was never more mortified till he came out to a level 1 referee seminar and he dropped a puck. And guess what? Everybody reffing knows it. The first time you do it, unless you're lucky, it doesn't land.
No.
And just to get that skill down, which referees do it multiple times a game, maybe 100 in a game that has a lot of whistles, just to get the puck down is a skill in its own. And then on top of it, like you said, Scott, you have to get there. And the first game I remember reffing, I was lucky enough. I had a very senior official with me, and they took care of the score sheet and everything. And they said, just stand out here during warmups, watch, and relax, because we still have to referee the rest of this game. And you know what? I really appreciated that from that person. So if you're in a locker room with the younger official or even an older official, and you're the younger guy, guess what? You're the senior official on that game. You need to take care of them. You need to protect them because they haven't been in this situation yet. That's right. It can be very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it really is, guys. And, we take it for granted because we've been doing it for a while. But if you think back, I can't really remember the first game I did, but I never had a mentor. So, I signed up, I started working some games, and I was going up and down the ice. I was overskating the miter squirt game, trying to keep up with play. And, I'm like, I got to be here. I got to be there. Didn't know much about positioning at that point. You learn these things. You got to go watch some other officials. If you're a newer official, I highly recommend you go watch a couple of the higher level games where you can just watch the official and see where they go, see how they react, see how they move. It will really help you. And I think even the guys that I've mentored along the way, when I've seen them in the rink and they stay to watch another game, maybe you do the mentor games with them and then, you have a little higher level game afterwards. I've seen some of these guys stay behind, and I think they learn a lot faster when they do that. And so kudos to those guys that are really taking it seriously, and they want to be better at it. And this is what they do, and that's one of the fastest ways you're going to improve is go watch some of the other guys. I will tell you, I got all the way to the ADP, and I could never figure out how to get away from everybody on the blue line, when you're working in a 3-man system. And one day I think I was at Seven Bridges. I remember this very well, actually. Furman and Zednik were out on the ice working a game together, 2-man. And I'm like, okay, these guys are in my age group, a little bit more in my age group. So I just want to watch these guys, how they move and how they. I know they don't want to. I know they don't want to. I'm not supposed to go there, but it's the fact. But I will tell you, I noticed Furman kept his feet moving there. He didn't stand still at the blue line. Like he kept skating circles or whatever back at the blue line. I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Well, lo and behold, that was like just an eye-opening experience for me to be able to see that and see that that's what you need to do. And like after that, I never had a problem. I never was just like stopped there and then I had to go from a cold start. It makes all the difference in the world. So, watching somebody else that's, that you think is compatible with maybe your age group or the games you're doing and seeing how they react to those situations, it makes a difference. So it's just a suggestion for some of you guys if you're newer.
The biggest suggestion that I'll have is if you want to see as a new official, because officials get hung up on a body contact game and a body checking game. And I'm going to tell you this. What I would do, I would suggest this to anyone. Watch a high-level women's hockey game because the women at very high levels, you can Google the USA team or a college team that's by you or whatever, pull up their YouTube. They body each other so expertly.
Yes.
That should be the standard that we play youth hockey with as well
absolutely.
In non-checking classification games.
Yep.
And they do it so well. Yeah. And I suggest that to people all the time because checking is checking and body contact is body contact.
Yeah.
And the upper level women's hockey with
it's a very physical game.
Referees,
it's a very physical game. It's awesome. And it's a lot of fun to work those games because they are so good at what they do and they angle well. they're on the body, and you get a couple of checks a game probably where you see the hips go or the shoulder drop, and it's like, yeah,
Yep.
There's my penalty. It's pretty clear, and you typically don't get a lot of argument about it. So it's very cool.
Yeah,
you haven't worked any of those games, they're a blast.
That's the biggest tip I have for new officials because of body checking and non-body checking classifications.
Yeah.
Go
Erin
watch
used to show a lot of
upper level
videos in the
women's
ADP.
game.
She'd show like all these women's video clips, and then we'd go to a women's tournament and do one of the tournaments. So, she got everybody familiar with it before you got there, and that's how you kind of got your start. But it worked very well. Yeah. So.
No, I agree. All right. On to the hot button item.
Well, are we done with this? That post that we saw. I mean,
It's up to you.
One of the other schedulers that's out there put up that he had a young referee that I think it was his second game.
Yep.
And
Canceled.
he had a bunch of games scheduled with him. He was getting started, and I guess he caught so much flack after his second game. He called the scheduler up and said, "I'm never doing this again. Take me off all the games." And that scheduler, he suggests that, all the senior officials, and not senior, but the level 3s and 4s have to do 2 mite games, have to do 2 squirt games, have to do 2 peewee in order to qualify for postseason playoff games. That's kind of the assignment and give back to help some of these younger officials. So I can tell you that I do work some of the other levels. I do go do some mite squirt peewee games during the course of the season. I don't know if you do, Brad. I'm sure you probably get a couple thrown on your schedule because you're in the building or whatever. But for all you guys that are out there, if you're not doing it, you really should. I mean, it's great. You go meet some new people. You meet. I worked a mite game last night. One of the best mite games I've ever seen. I'm going to say who it was. It was Bulldogs versus Falcons. Bulldogs versus Falcons, mite. Sean Friedman's team. I think they're like 62-1 or something like that. I mean, they are so good. And officially they're 2-0 now. But the fact of the matter is he has done such a great job. And same thing with the Falcons coach. I mean, they have done such a great job with those kids, and it was one heck of a game. These kids can play. I think they're just programmed chips. I don't know how they do it, because I don't think they can walk and chew gum at the same time. But, put a hockey stick in their hand and a puck, and they can go. They can skate like the wind, and they can toe drag you. And, kid comes over to get the puck. He does the Michigan to give me the puck, like no effort, like down and up, like it's just like scooping ice cream. I mean, it was that easy for him. I still can't do that.
You know what, Scott? I'm lucky enough that when there's some newer level 1s or whatever that have had a mentor or whatever, and I happen to be around, like in the area, quite a few of our rinks are located near each other. And there'll be a text to me every once in a while. Hey, can you go work this mite game with level 1? Sure. I don't have a problem. And I go out there, and, the hockey to me is not the same because it's a lower level, which is understandable. But I have more fulfilling experience because I can help this new level 1 out who might be freaking out. You go through the score sheet with them, and they're like, well, we didn't cover this in the seminar. And I'm like, well, who'd you have as the instructor? And they're like, this person. I'm like, I know it got covered. I know it's 8 hours of information that we throw at you. Yeah. And it's a lot of information.
It is.
But, it's a good thing that if we get back out there and work with these level 1s, whether they're adults, kids, we can teach them stuff when they're first learning to promote good habits instead of them getting into bad habits and trying to change it. Yeah. So if you can try and get out there and work a couple of games that would be outside of your normal realm.
We have a wonderful mentoring program. So I know the referees out there, and I'm sure a lot of the coaches know we have a mentoring program, but a lot of the players and a lot of the parents probably don't know that we have a mentoring program that Carl Sassolino runs and does a great job with it. And that's getting officials out for, senior officials to help the younger guys that are doing their first game or 2 or 3 or 4 to get them off to a good start and help them get adjusted and get ready to become an official. And that may mean, you know, extra time before the game, like a pregame meeting to talk about stuff, maybe a postgame meeting to explain some things after the situations have already happened. But it's a really great program, and they get some feedback, and it's a nice way to get them started. I'd even like to see that expand beyond that, because I think you go do your first 3-4 games, and okay, you get up and you're running, and now you're going to work. But I'd like to see us come back 10 or 15 games into that and do 1 or 2 games with those people again. And because now they're going to have so many more questions. And I'm sure they're talking to other officials in the ref room if they're working with them and getting their questions answered, because the guys are great with that. But I guess the biggest concern would be, well, if you're working with another level 1, possibly, I don't know how, you know, if that's the case, or if they always try to keep them with a senior official. But if you're working with another level 1, they may have the same questions, and they may not know all the answers to those situations, you know, because they're in the same boat for the most part, or maybe they've been around for a few more games. But I would like to see that. I think that would be very cool if we had the budget to be able to pull that off, or the volunteers. It may not even require a budget to do it, but I think that would be awesome.
They do try to get an evaluator out on level 1s, you know, 10, 15, 20 games afterwards. It just doesn't always work out. But the
evaluator, though, they're critiquing, you know, how well you skate, how, you know, what you look like, how your positioning is. They're checking all those things, and they're going to go answer your questions. But I just think if you know, after you've done 10 games, maybe it's time to have somebody come back and just work with you again and like fix a few of the things that are easily fixable, because probably you notice them right away and you just point them out and be like, wow, that makes a big difference. Now I get it.
There's a great comment that just went up.
Yeah, let's put a couple of these comments up that we have here, because there's quite a few coming in now. Where did we leave off? Mason says, "Come at me, parents. You don't scare me." Okay.
Just don't say that to them in the parking lot.
Yeah. Stay away from it. It's not worth it. Just checked. Scanner Pro is $50 per year. Android $50 a year.
$50 a year.
No. Go get the one I have. I think the company is Riddle that makes it, or Riddle, something like that. I can't imagine they're more than $1.99 or $4.99, and it's probably a lifetime purchase. All right. Parents are the worst thing in organized sports. Again, we have Facebook users. We can't identify who this is saying this.
The link is up there.
But it does make a difference. Yeah, please click the link so you can share and be a part of the conversation. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's, you know, it's nice in those buildings that didn't have spectators in them for a while during those supervised practices. That was pleasant. Brad, I'll come take your job. Okay. What job is that, Mason?
I saw that already.
Okay. Brad, you need to raise your hand if you want to speak.
Yeah. That was when I was timing you.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I can get long-winded, I guess. It's my radio career, right?
You had a soapbox going right there. And
yeah, you know, Brad knows I do have a couple soapboxes here that I keep that I can jump up on from time to time.
You want to talk about face-offs?
No, let's not talk about face-offs. I think some of these teams know now. They know already. Volunteers watch a game with an official. Yeah, that's a great program. Mr. Green points out where we have that night where some of the officials go to a game and some of the newer officials come in, and you sit and watch a game together and ask all kinds of questions. That is awesome. I forgot to even mention that. That is a great point, Mr. Green. I really like that. And for those of you that don't know about it, Brad, tell them about that. And are we doing that this year? Are we doing that during this season since we're back now? We could.
Not this season. We do it in our development program. And we've done it many years in the past. But we also ran a pilot program 2 years ago, and it's something based off of what Missouri does. I just put the link, by the way, in the comments.
Okay.
For people for the chat. Click that link and then allow it, and we'll know who you are.
Yeah, and that's this Missouri, one right here, everybody. In case you don't know what it is, you can't click this. You're going to have to, go to the link that's on Facebook, in the Facebook group. So if you're in the Ref Room group, that's the only place you have to be concerned with this. Everywhere else, you should come through. And by the way, if you're not watching us on Twitch, Twitch is a great place to watch us from. Twitch.tv/LINEMAN. twitch.tv/refroom. Twitch.tv/refroom. There's some very cool features out there that we don't even get with YouTube or Facebook. YouTube's a great place to watch us as well. So is Facebook. Just click the link. It's a privacy thing. All right, keep going.
So, yeah. So anyways, we ran a pilot program off of something that Missouri does. And Missouri does it's be a referee for the day. And what they do is they bring people out and they referee, but they both have a mentor out on the ice with them at the same time. And they're at games that are very minimal. So there's not a lot that's going to happen, but they literally move them around and all that stuff. And then afterwards, what we did is we did that with the idea. And then afterwards, we then had 2 more people that were up in the stands, and they got off the ice after a period. They took off their stuff and then they hurried upstairs, and they sat with the 2 people upstairs, and the 2 people talked about what was going on the ice with them while they're watching 2 other people. And then we had a classroom session that they went to as the third part, which another 2 people were running. So it was like a experience of you get to go ref, then you get to sit with 2 refs and talk and watch in very minimal games again. And then you went into a little classroom that went and reiterated your seminar. That's something that I want to keep doing. And I know the person that put it together, and it was very well done. We put it together as a development group, but it's something that I want to keep going with. And we did that with existing referees. They signed up for it. I think we had like 14 or 18 people. It was a lot of people, and we just divided it up, where they came on and off, and we trucked them in. And that's something that we're looking at doing in the future again. But I get what you're saying, where you want to have like another mentor out there a little bit later. Yeah. And that's what the idea of that program was.
Maybe that program would be a really good idea for the parents that we toss out during the course of the season, that they'd have to go almost to like a punishment class and have to go get on the ice and do all this stuff and sit in the class and understand finally what it's like to be out there on the ice. And they wouldn't be as quick to point out our weaknesses or what they perceive are our weaknesses.
Well, we have a lot of them, according to parents.
Yes, I know.
I had a game over the weekend, and the first call was a clear checking from behind. So my arm goes up. Go to the box. The coach doesn't say a word. Well, he goes, dang it. Because the guy didn't mean to hit him from behind. He just came in, and he was a little more aggressive than he should have been, and he hit him from behind. And he didn't complain or whatever. And there's a guy in the stands. That's a soft call.
Always
hit somebody from behind. I don't understand. Hitting from behind is a gutless play. Yeah. In my mind, your opponent can't defend themselves.
That's right. They don't know you're coming. Even if it's the shove in the back. I mean, it's like, where did that come from? Which is going to get us probably to our next. Here's the segue to the topic we really wanted to talk about, and that's slew footing.
Go ahead.
Because I think it's one of the worst penalties out there. I can't stand it, and I'm a proponent of banging these guys when they do it. And the slew foot rule, I realize, and I guess I'll need to bring this up. Yeah, let me try to get this up here. Give me a second.
Yep. Okay. All right, for everybody. Well, no, see, this is where the debate's going to come. So I'm not going to.
Yep. This is where we were really talking the other day, and this got heated. We were on the phone for a good half hour with this one.
Yeah, it was at least 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was major. Let's see. There we go. All right. So here we go. You guys want to read it, or you want to read it, Brad, or can you even see it on your end? You want me to read it?
I can't see it.
So tripping, clipping, leg checking, slew footing. Tripping is the act of placing a stick, knee, foot, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Slew footing, the act of a player using his leg or foot to knock. I can't see through my camera here. I'm sorry. I got to scoot over. Kick an opponent's feet from under.
Pushing out an opponent's upper body backwards with an arm or an elbow at the same time, using a forward motion of his leg, causing the opponent to fall on the ice. It just cleared up.
Okay, so here's where we have our big argument. And Brad and I talked about this. Brad said that, the arm across, because it's forcing you down faster than gravity allows you to go.
There you go.
But I I don't care. You come behind a guy and you kick that skate out from underneath him, and a lot of the players like to do that along the boards. To me, it's still a slew foot. The minute you take your foot and you use that to take guys down, I got a problem with it. And I don't care if it's extending the leg out. I'll sit guys. If you put your leg out and the guy gets around or he only stumbles, you're going to the box. And I will call you out on it every time. I just hate it. Somebody is going to absolutely get destroyed doing that. And it's the same thing if they kick your skate from behind you. If they come in behind you, from the knee down and put that leg between your legs and take you down, you are going down backwards like a rock. And I just feel that's a slew foot. I know the definition doesn't say it. It falls under the tripping, which is still under the same rule, 639. But I have a problem with it. It's a coward play. I don't like it. And somebody will get hurt. And, referees get slew-footed a lot. You have, we'll call it a slew foot. They would call it we get tripped, where somebody gets behind you and catches your skate. But to me, it's a slew foot. It's nasty, and it hurts. And I don't care, especially on the referees, it hurts because we don't have the same kind of equipment on. But it hurts as a player too, trust me. You go down backwards, tailbone first, you're going to feel it. So we had a big debate about this, and I don't know what everybody's opinion is. I still think it should be a major penalty. That's just me. I think it should be a major, at least a 5-minute standalone major. And you can certainly call it that way. You could call it as a 5-minute standalone major.
Well, so Scott, the disappointing part that we got into this, and the reason is because the way that this is all written here, and you know what, I'm not going to lie, the way that USA Hockey came through in our last rule change, and they put these notes in after every rule, they did this in every rule, they actually defined what they're looking for.
Right.
And the big issue that we had was I don't agree that slew footing should ever be anything other than a standalone major or higher. Yeah. We agree on that part, 100%.
Yeah, we did. I guess it's the definition of the arm going up across the chest or in the upper body being what they define to be the slew foot. I think anytime you use that foot down below just on its own, it should be a slew foot and it should be a major. That's my opinion.
Well, the difference is, Scott, like I said to you, is because when you use the elbow, it forces that person down faster than gravity, so they don't have the ability to defend themselves. As you come by and, yes, knock a player's feet out from behind, they still have an opportunity to defend themselves. It's not the same. That's why they did a good job of defining it. I just wish in this it didn't have the option of a minor or a major penalty, because a lot of people on Note 4, there are people that see it happen, and they will call a minor penalty because that player is not injured, and it's a clear slew foot. It needs to be a 5 in a game or a 5-minute standalone. And it used to be noted in the rules that it was a 5-minute.
Yeah.
And upper level referees know that this is a play that happens, and it's super dangerous. Like I said to you, they touch on it in the movie Youngblood. When
and I haven't seen that movie.
Character scores, he pulls his helmet off and he flips his skates out, from behind with his stick. But it's the same idea, the same principle. It's dramatic, whatever. It's not exactly what we're looking for. But players get seriously injured because as you get thrown down, your head bangs off the ice. You can cause whiplash, you can cause brain trauma. I mean, that's where we got into it, because I don't like where it's written. I don't like that you have even the ability to call a slew foot a minor. What does everybody else think? Should a slew foot have the ability to be called a minor penalty?
Let's put it in the comments, guys.
Every single time, without a doubt. And this is where me and Scott then we're like, well, yeah, but this could happen or that. I'm like, no. I go, it should be a major. And then we kind of like moved on to the electronic score sheets. But, it's one of those things. I don't like it.
Michael Novak says, how is using the foot without the arm different than using the stick? Well, I think, Michael, in my personal opinion, when the stick is used, usually you're going forward for the most part when you're falling. You're not falling backwards. I got a problem when guys are falling backwards. I think you're susceptible to more of a serious injury. You're probably, either the bruised tailbone or you can get a concussion because your head could hit that ice like a rock. And that's part of the problem with the slew foot. So, the trip is a little different to me because, again, I think you might be going forward when you're pulled down versus going backwards. Not to say that it doesn't happen. And Christopher says, is this the right link? Is this the right link?
It is. He's just checking that he's showing up.
Oh, okay. He says major for him always. Joey Hederman, after getting beat down by parents and coaches all year, I agree. Always nice to take a break and get back to the pure enjoyment the little ones have. It's got some blocking there from the browser.
That was a comment on a comment.
Yeah, there's a couple others that we had. So, yeah, thanks for that, Joey. Thanks to everybody that comments. We appreciate it. And if you have anything else that you would like to add to the slew foot, because, again, I'm not a fan.
Scott, so here's where me and Scott differ. Scott feels that if you come by and you knock the guy's feet out without using your arm and propelling their body backwards faster, it's still underneath a slew foot. My definition of it is what USA Hockey has in there. They're propelling the upper body faster than gravity, basically, and they're kicking the feet out at the same time. That's where we got into it. Yeah. And then it was funny because I was pulling up this same thing when we were having our pre-show. Then all of a sudden Scott turns on his sharing, and I'm like, I was just pulling that up, and he's like, I'm reading it right now.
Yeah.
He's like, I see why you're with that.
The definition is, the use of that arm on the upper body. I just feel it's a slew foot if you come from behind. I mean, you could be standing in the slot. You have a player standing in the slot, and player comes behind him. Now, the guy is directly, his back is to you. He's like this, and you're coming in from here. If he's got the legs like this, and you come in and you knock your knee and leg go in here, to me, it's a slew. He's going down backwards, and he's going down like a rock. He's going to get you with that. He's going to get you with that leg. He's going to get this, and you're going to go boom. It's just the fact of the matter. I don't like seeing it.
The last point that I brought up with you then was, okay, so I'm a player. I come by with my stick, and as I come by, I whack the guy in the back of the heel with my stick, and he's going to fall down backwards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, why should that be a major penalty for slashing then? Or would you call that a minor? That's where we got stuck.
Yeah.
We were like,
I guess it would depend on how bad the fall was, and I would say it would have to depend on the force used with the slash, because he could suffer more than just one injury in that situation. He could be getting a broken ankle or a bruised back foot because there's no padding back there probably. And, plus he can crack his head on the ice. He can get a concussion. He can bruise his tailbone, all nasty stuff. So I think you really have to, just kind of feel out what you're going to call in that situation. Yeah, you could be going with a 5-minute slash in that situation. Absolutely.
No,
and if he's injured, you got your 5-minute game right there.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
And like the proposed rule, remember, they're going to possibly change that wording from injury. So, reckless. But going back to it, Scott, I'm telling you, they got to use the forearm. That's my opinion. Your opinion isn't.
Yeah.
I want to know what everybody else thinks.
Yep. Slew footing or gutless plays and should be penalized severely. Brett, what does Brett 100%. Say? I agree. We start at major and go from there. This is not a hockey play ever. Yeah, you're correct. Absolutely right, Brett. That is correct. So I definitely think you got to go with the 5 in that situation, that it's a major.
But what's his definition of a slew foot? Is it the guy using the arm, or is the guy not using the arm?
All right, so guys, what do you think? Do you we know what the rule book says, but do you feel it's still a slew foot if they come in and kick the skate from behind, or do you feel that that's a trip?
Could you go with a kick? What do you think, Scott? You
could? I don't know if you could, because you're not using the blade. You're not using the point of the blade into the body. You're not putting it into the back of the skate. If you caught him doing that, you would have a kicking penalty. Is it a kick? Well, if you were a soccer player and you kick the ball with the inside of your foot, it's still a kick, even though you're not using the center. But to me, a kick is probably if the blade is being imposed on the player somehow. that would be a kicking penalty in my opinion. I may be wrong.
As long as they're not like Karate Kid in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Type of deal. Because that's.
But I mean, if they did, you're still got a blade coming out at you. So that's the blade. It would be coming at you. And if you kick the guy with the front of the blade, it'd be the same thing. So that's just my opinion on that. But let's see. Michael says
he's bringing up an excellent point.
On all of these, does it matter if it is a slew foot or a trip? I can't see enough. If it's bad enough that you think it was injury potential, it should be a major or major plus game. If the guy used the arm, it's slew foot. I think it's a requirement for slew. But major plus game should still be in play without the arm. Yeah, I agree with you there. I definitely agree with you there. It's the definition, I guess, I'm not crazy about.
It should all be in play, and that's where we finally found a common ground. As much as we were playing it up on the little bit on the comments there, and then
it was a heated argument. We were going at each other on this one, but yeah.
But like I said, the thing that I don't like, and that I think it should be, is it should notate that a slew foot should be a major penalty. That's where it should start. A slew foot using the upper forearm to propel the guy down should be a major penalty.
I think without the arm, the severity of the slew foot is minimal and would be penalized as a trip. Chris, I'm going to disagree with you on this. I'm going to disagree with you because I don't think you need the arm to have a guy go down like a rock. My opinion. Only my opinion. Arm has to be used for a true slew foot. The forward-backward motion is required. Penalize the action no matter what. Yeah, I agree. Yep. We're going to penalize it for sure. The blade should have nothing to do with a kick. Slew is using arm. Okay, well,
it's the arm. Yeah. It's the arm factor. I that's what I said when we were talking about it. It's that use of that arm when you come by and you propel them towards the ice, and they are unable to defend themselves because they're going faster than gravity intended them. It's just the nature of the game. When you fall down rollerblading backwards, you might break your wrist. When somebody slew foots you when you're rollerblading, you might break your head.
You might break everything.
It's true. And, it was you know what, Scott? This is one of the conversations that I enjoy having at rinks. And you know what? I get how it's written, and I totally agree with you can penalize that without the arm and give a 5. You know what? I'll suggest this, just like USA Hockey always does, and I said it to you, and that's basically where we ended the conversation, and we ended on a good note as always.
Yeah.
You can always err on the side of safety.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, in the outcome of a hockey game, yes, it can affect the game. Somebody will get the video, they'll call you and say, look, you weren't supposed to do this, okay?
Yeah.
Sorry. But if you think a major is in play, call the major. Now, I'm not saying go out and hand out majors like it's Halloween night and kids are ringing the door.
Call the more severe penalty. If you've got a interference versus, a rough.
Call the rough.
Call the rough. Yeah, I guess that's the best example, right?
Interference. Interference is one of those calls that
interference.
Does it
exist?
There's normally a place. No,
does it exist?
No,
it does.
It exists.
It does.
When you set a pick, that's definitely interference.
That's interference.
Away from the play, there's a lot of interference calls, but generally during the course of play, you can penalize it under a more severe penalty. It's kind of like you have a roughing call, right? Because the guy elbows a guy, right? Okay, you could call that under roughing. It's still roughing.
Yeah.
It always is, right?
Yeah.
Well, but the more severe penalty is elbowing. Plus, it also puts it into a category. Just like, I'm sorry to say, match penalty for attempt to injure. Every time somebody slashes somebody with a stick, they're not trying to be their friend or be a nice guy. They're trying to hurt them somehow. Or they're trying
to send a message. It's a message being sent.
But you're differentiating throughout the game between, attempt to injure and what a penalty is underneath the other subcategories. So remember, it's just like that with majors. And you know what? The one thing I'll tell everybody on here, if you're having a game that's starting to get rough, a major penalty, if it happens, you don't get blessed with a major standalone penalty very often.
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to say that. But if you have an opportunity for a major penalty in any game or a rough one, it does help out. It states that we're done. We've reached the line. We're going to start tossing people. That's where it can really help you out. And in upper levels of hockey, they get very creative with what they do. And sometimes, you'll have a guy and he's on his knees and the guy will cross-check him in the chest while he's standing up. I'm telling you, anytime you're standing over an opponent and they're defenseless on their knees and you cross-check them, as long as it's not in the back or the head, okay, let's point that out. Very, very, because those are two separate penalties.
Yep.
They're defenseless. That's a 5. Standalone. They're going into the box every time.
It will probably settle things down a little bit too.
And it'll settle stuff down. Yeah. So remember, the major standalones are there. They're there to make a statement during the game that the game has gotten here. We're going to make sure that it's not going to go further. Because remember, we can't control the players ever. We can suggest to them to calm down by our words and the penalties we call on the ice.
Yeah.
And that's how we try to get through the game.
The best way to calm all these players down is put them in playoff hockey, because you know what? That's when they actually just want to play hockey and they don't want to sit in the penalty box. Get the playoff games, guys come to play hockey.
I don't know about
that. I think they come to play at that point. I don't think they want to sit in the box unless the game is lopsided. I think if they're in a competitive 1 or 2 goal game, I think they're playing hockey for the most part because they want to win and they don't want to put their team down. So
good way to calm that down while you're officiating.
Yep.
Nobody wants to take a penalty right now.
That's right.
While they're pushing and shoving at the whistle.
Exactly. You want to sit for that? Really? Yeah, I don't think your coach would be very happy, or your teammates.
Friendly reminders go a long way.
Veteran officials are right. Ron, what does Ron say? I flunked that one on the test. I want to ref again. How do I get certified?
We covered it at the beginning of the show.
Go back and watch the replay. Watch the replay.
There you go.
Yeah.
It'll give us an extra watch.
Ron Nicholson, go to a seminar. Yeah, that's accurate. Ron, go to a seminar. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get it taken care of. But yeah, you can view that on the replays. We have all the replays up there, guys. If there's a show you haven't checked out, feel free to go back. We've covered some good topics over the course of a year. I think we're coming up on a year, aren't we? Are we pretty close?
It's got to be close. I haven't gone back and counted.
Yeah, we got to go back and count.
But just amazingly, I watched the first episode.
Yeah, it's a little better now.
And just the camera, the camera is a million times better. And we had choppiness issues. Well, and remember,
the software has been developed so much. I mean, so much of this stuff was almost like new and rushed to development because of the pandemic. And it's like, we've just come a long ways. A lot of stuff has really improved. And, I think we've become a little bit better at what we do with having a conversation with one another. And it just gets easier. Hockey being open just makes it that much better because we have all these interesting things that happen to all of us out there. And, a forum for us to bring that out and, invite some parents onto this. We'd love to hear parents' views. Please bring them. That's what this is designed for. It was an opportunity for them to talk to officials. You got an issue with the way something is called or how things are going? Come on out here. We'll give you a forum. You see, we're open to everybody. We'd love to have them on there. Same thing with the coaches. Same thing with the players. Players, you got a question? Come on over. Here's your chance to talk to a whole group of referees that would be happy to answer your questions or try to answer your questions and give you maybe some different viewpoints on something that you're not familiar with. So
I agree. Scott, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Do you still have my Breakaway?
I do.
Graphic.
Yeah. Do you want to break away?
I got one. Before we'll end the show.
Okay. Here's Brad's Breakaway, and Brad didn't go into the pip.
Okay.
Let's see. We'll put Brad. No, he won't come up as solo either. But here's Brad's Breakaway, and then I'll put him into a solo. How's that? Because I don't think we. Here we go. Ref room with Brad. Hey, no, he's still showing up there. I don't know why.
I'm a rules question now. That's okay. All right. Number one thing is. That's fine. All right. So number one thing is this happened in a game. So not going to call out any names. I'm not going to say anything. All right. If you have a player ever drink from a goaltender's water bottle, an opposing player, get to that player as fast as you can if you've witnessed it. It does not turn out well for that player. Okay?
Why would you want to drink from the cup? That's what I want to know. Why?
Number two is it's automatically a penalty. Don't think about it. Don't just skate him to the box and hope that the guy.
What is the penalty that you're going to assess for stupidity from drinking from? Do we have a stupidity penalty?
A minor for unsportsmanlike conduct. No, it just happened, and it turned out to be a big mess. So, but it did go unwitnessed by the official that was closest. So, unfortunately, he didn't see it, and it didn't turn out very well. So, number one, make sure that you're looking at the goaltender pretty much at all stoppages. Number two is if a guy drinks out of a goaltender's water bottle, get to him as fast as you can, because if I'm playing, I'm probably breaking my stick on the guy's head. Okay? Just so you know, that's my breakaway. The only reason I forgot to tell you about it, Scott, because I wasn't thinking about it. And all of a sudden, because I just saw the video, and don't let the guy drink from the guy's water bottle.
The player gets what he deserves. Linesman, take your time getting to the kid.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Matt,
I don't think I want to drink from the goalie's bottle. I'm sorry. I don't want to drink from anybody's bottle, to be honest with you.
It happens. And it literally just happened. So the other day. So, but yeah, just make sure and get to him quickly. How
bad did it go after that? Just out of curiosity.
It didn't get that bad. At the end of the game, there was an issue, but
did you put him in did it go unnoticed, or did he get penalized for it?
It unfortunately, yeah.
Okay.
Just don't let anybody drink.
Don't let it happen. Don't drink from the Kool-Aid. Don't let them drink from the Kool-Aid. Now, if that's a men's league game, there might be something in that water bottle besides water, just so you know.
But the goalie could have offered as well, so just make sure you know what's going on in the men's league.
There you go. That's right.
And not only that, if it's not water, you at least know that you're not going to get sick from it.
Right. That's true. The alcohol kills everything. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us this week. We appreciate it as always. A couple shout outs. Brett sent us some more coffees. Thank you, Brett. And Brian Smolacek sent us some coffees. So thank you so much for buying us a couple coffees, guys. That's very generous of you. We truly appreciate it. We appreciate all you guys for taking the time to join us. And we do this every Wednesday. We do it at noon in Chicago time. So if you're watching from... Yeah.
I got a text message, and it was from someone that wants us to remind people in all states and areas, if you have a situation on the ice that isn't traditionally covered by a game misconduct or a parent, or let's just say you have a very awkward situation of any kind on the ice, call your supervisor of officials, call your referee in chief, call the president of your association, or call the assigner. Let someone know, because they may have some very upset people coming to them, and they'd like to talk to you because it's very good to talk to the official. And if you bring it to them, it expedites it. It gets a lot of time cut and saved for the people that look into it. So again, if you do get a call from somebody and you didn't expect it, call them back right away. But if you have something happen, and I've had it happen before personally in games, and I'm like, I think I should let somebody know. You can always file an incident report.
Yeah, incident report's a good way to go.
But if it's something that is awkward, that you're kind of like, I don't know if it's an incident report, call somebody that's in that one of those positions I mentioned. Ask them. They'll advise you along the way so that they can get a handle on it with you, because it just eliminates an entire step for them. Yeah. So just so you know, just keep that in mind. And let them know what's going on in your games, because weird stuff does happen. And we all know that, and they understand that. And you know what? Hey, you might make a mistake. We get it. If you make a mistake, afterwards, guess what? You still threw the player out. You got to write them up, just like you would have when you first threw them out. And then afterwards, you can send an email, call, hey, I screwed this up, just so you know.
And you know, we
They
all learn
understand
from
things,
mistakes. If you make a mistake, you won't do it again. You'll know the rule inside and out. And that's why we all have these conversations and talk about stuff, because there are still unique situations that aren't 100% covered by the book. As great as the book is and as detailed as it is. What was the situation we were talking about? There was something the other day that you and I were talking about that you thought wasn't covered, that you were trying to get covered.
The penalty. That's a 5-on-4 issue.
Yeah.
Different. And that's kind of complicated to
That might be a topic we'll have to cover. Yeah. So that's something we can think about. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for watching The Ref Room. If you have an idea for an upcoming show or guest, hit us up. Just email us, refroombrad@gmail.com.
I'm proud that you labeled the button.
Yeah, I didn't, but I remembered why I put it over on the right side by itself. So I got it right for a change. Yeah. Along with your peanut butter and jelly sandwich that you enjoy every week. I hope you enjoyed that.
I almost ate that for dinner last night, but I reheated tacos instead. Yeah.
Well, guys, take an extra game if you're out there. The season is as fast as it opened. It's already winding down, it seems like. So hope you're getting lots of games and enjoying yourself out there. Get some exercise. Collectively as a group, I wonder how many pounds we've lost as referees, players, and coaches. It's hard to believe, but it goes down fast. How many are you down now, Brad?
Like 17.
Yeah, that's great, man. Good for you. You can see it. You can see it even in your face. It's
if I shave, it looks better.
Yeah.
But no,
high definition cameras. Yes. No, it's cool.
And I skated my first 3 officials over the weekend.
I still haven't worked a 3 all year. Not one. Everyone I'm supposed to have has been taken down to 2, including the one last night.
I happen to be at the right spot at the right time. Referee, line, referee, all in one day.
Nice.
So it was a long
good exercise, man. It's good exercise. Yeah.
It was. So, all right.
Well, guys, thanks again for joining us. Yeah, we did. We ran. We got long-winded. You got up on your soapbox for too long. That's what it was. You want to talk about face-offs? We can talk about face-offs. No. All right, guys. All right. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great week, everybody. Let's play a little music on the way out of here, and we'll talk to you guys next Wednesday at noon. This is The Ref Room. I'm Scott Smokin Silz for my man Brad Baumruck. Go out there and take a couple extra game, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Peace. Now I can't find the end button. There it is.